Chapter 1. Pablo Escobar was a drug dealer from Colombia. He worked with other criminals to create the Medellin cartel in the early 1970s. He eventually controlled more than 80% of the cocaine sent to the United States. People called him the king of cocaine. Escobar became very rich, with about $30 billion. Forbes named him one of the 10 richest people in the world. He became popular by helping with charity projects and soccer teams. But later, his violent actions caused the deaths of thousands of people, and many people started to dislike him. In 1991, Escobar turned himself into the Colombian government. In 1992, he escaped from prison and was on the run until he was killed in December 1993. Chapter 2. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born on December 1st, 1949, in Rio Negro, Colombia. His family later moved to a nearby town called Envigado. He was the third of 7 children in a poor family. His mother was a school teacher and his father was a farmer. From a young age, Escobar wanted to improve his life. He dreamed of becoming the president of Colombia one day. Escobar began his life of crime when he was very young. He stole tombstones and sold fake diplomas. Soon he started stealing cars and then got into smuggling. He became well known during the Marlboro Wars, where he was important in controlling the smuggled cigarette market in Colombia. This helped him learn how to become a powerful drug dealer later. Chapter 3. Colombia did not become the main country for cocaine by accident. In the early 1970s, it started as a place for smuggling marijuana. But as cocaine became popular, Colombia's location helped a lot. It is between Peru and Bolivia, where coca plants are grown. This made it easy to send cocaine to the United States, the biggest market for the drug. Escobar had been involved in crime for 10 years when he moved quickly to take control of the cocaine trade. In 1975, a drug dealer named Fabio Restrepo was killed. Many people believed Escobar ordered this killing so he could take over Restrepo's business and make it much bigger. Under Escobar, a lot of coca pesos bought in Bolivia and Peru turned into cocaine and sent to America. He worked with a small group to create the Medellin cartel. Around the same time, Escobar married Maria Victoria Henao, who was 11 years younger than him and still a teenager when they got married in 1976. They had 2 children together. Chapter 4. Escobar quickly became famous, which caught the attention of the police in Colombia called the Diaz. In May 1976, they arrested him when he returned from a drug trip in Ecuador. They found 39 kilograms of cocaine hidden in his truck's spare tire. Escobar got out of trouble by paying a judge, and the 2 police officers who arrested him were killed the next year. Around this time, Escobar created a way of dealing with police called plata o plomo, which means silver or lead. This meant they could take a bribe or face death. In 1978, Escobar spent a lot of money to buy 20 square kilometers of land in Antioquia, Colombia. There, he built a large luxury home called Hacienda Napoles. It had a garden, a lake, a private bull ring, and many other nice things for his family and cartel members. He also collected fancy cars and bikes and had a zoo with animals like antelope, elephants, giraffes, hippos, ponies, ostriches, and exotic birds. After Escobar died, the estate was turned into a theme park. Today, the hippos from his zoo have multiplied in Colombia, causing problems for the environment and attracting tourists. As more people in the United States wanted cocaine, Escobar set up more ways to smuggle it and sell it in different places. He even created a base on a private island in the Bahamas with help from his friend Carlos Letter. By the mid 1980s, Escobar was worth about $30 billion and was one of the 10 richest people in the world, according to Forbes. He had so much cash that he bought a Learjet just to fly his money. At this time, Escobar controlled more than 80% of the cocaine coming into the United States. More than 15 tons of cocaine were smuggled every day, making the Medellin cartel up to $420 million a week. As Escobar became richer and more famous, he wanted to be seen as a leader. He tried to be like Robin Hood, helping the poor. Many local people saw him as a hero because he spent money to improve their neighborhoods. He built roads, electric lines, soccer fields, and roller skating rinks. He also paid workers in his cocaine labs enough money so they could buy houses and cars. Chapter 5. Escobar still wanted to be president, so he got into politics and helped start the Liberal Party of Colombia. In 1982, he was elected as an alternate member of Colombia's Congress. But Minister of Justice Rodrigo Lara Bonilla investigated him and showed how Escobar made his money illegally. This made Escobar resign 2 years later. A few months after Escobar's resignation, Lara Bonilla was killed. Many people believed Escobar was involved in this murder. Chapter 6. Pablo Escobar killed thousands of people. His victims included politicians, civil servants, journalists, and everyday citizens. When he knew he could not become Colombia's president, he started to attack his enemies. He wanted to change Colombian politics, and he hoped to get a law that would stop his extradition to the U.S. He wanted amnesty for drug lords in return for stopping drug trade. Escobar's attacks killed 3 presidential candidates, an attorney general, many judges, and over 1,000 police officers. He was also involved in the bombing of a Colombian airliner. In November 1989, Escobar placed a bomb on Avianca Flight 203. This was an attack against presidential candidate Cesar Gaviria Trujillo. He missed the flight, but the bomb exploded, killing all 107 people on the plane. 9 days later, a truck bomb exploded outside a DS building in Bogota. This attack killed more than 50 people and injured over 2,200. The Medellin cartel was thought to be behind this bombing too. Escobar's violence eventually made people turn against him. Chapter 7. By the 1990s, Escobar was under a lot of pressure from President Cesar Gaviria, especially after Escobar was accused of killing presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galán in 1989. In June 1991, Escobar agreed to surrender to the government. In return, he got a lighter sentence and special treatment while in prison. A law at that time stopped him from being sent to the United States. Escobar built his own luxury prison called La Catedral. It was guarded by his own men from his workers. People often called it Hotel Escobar. The prison had a casino, a spa, a nightclub, a football field, a jacuzzi, a waterfall, and even a giant dollhouse. In June 1992, Escobar escaped when the authorities tried to move him to a regular prison. A manhunt for him started with help from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. This search lasted 16 months. During this time, the Medellin cartel began to fall apart because the police were raiding their offices and killing their leaders. Chapter 8. Escobar's family tried to find safety in Germany, but could not. They finally stayed in a hotel in Bogota. Escobar was not as lucky. On December 2nd, 1993, Colombian police found him in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. A gunfight started. As Escobar tried to escape across rooftops, he and his bodyguard were shot and killed. Escobar had just turned 44 the day before. His death sped up the end of the Medellin cartel and Colombia's role in the cocaine trade. The government and many people around the world celebrated his death. His family was given police protection, but many Colombians were sad about his killing. More than 25,000 people came to his funeral. One person at the funeral said, "He built houses and cared about the poor." In the future, people will go to his tomb to pray like they would to a saint. Chapter 9. In 1976, when Escobar was 26 years old, he married Maria Victoria Henao, who was only 15. She was so young that Escobar had to get special permission from a bishop to marry her. They stayed married until Escobar died. The couple had two children, a son named Juan Pablo and a daughter named Manuela. Today, Juan Pablo goes by the name Sebastian Marroquin. He is a motivational speaker and studied architecture. In 2015, he wrote a book called Pablo Escobar, My Father, which talks about his life growing up with his famous father. Marroquin claims that his father did not die from being shot, but rather took his own life. In an interview, Marroquin said, "My father's not a person to be imitated. He showed us the path we must never take as a society because it leads to destruction, loss of values, and a place where life no longer matters.